I never imagined my own daughter would look me in the eyes and tell me I didn't deserve to live in the house I built with my blood and sweat. But that morning, standing in the middle of my living room, she slammed a stack of papers on the table and shouted, "Dad, sign these. We're selling the house. You can't manage it anymore." Her words cut deeper than any knife. I stared at her, trying to understand how the little girl who once held my hand across the street had now turned into a stranger ready to throw me out of my own home. She didn't even ask. She demanded. Behind her, her husband stood with folded arms, smirking like he already owned everything. "Just sign, Dad," she said again. "It's for your own good." But I recognized those papers, property transfer documents. If I had signed them, I'd lose my home instantly. I looked to my son, standing quietly in the corner. His fists were clenched, jaw shaking. He had warned me about her. He had told me she cared more about money than family now. But I never believed it. Until that moment, my daughter leaned forward, lowering her voice. "If you don't sign now, I'll take legal action. The house will be mine eventually anyway." That was the moment something inside me snapped. She wasn't just trying to control me. She wasn't just being greedy. She was betraying me. While I was still alive, I took a deep breath, stared into her cold, confident eyes, and finally spoke the words she never expected. "This house," I said slowly, "is not yours to sell. It was already transferred years ago." She froze. Her smile disappeared. "What are you talking about?" I turned toward my son and nodded. He quietly opened a drawer and took out a sealed envelope. My lawyer's letter, the one holding the truth that would change everything. My daughter's face went pale as she snatched it and read the first line. Her voice cracked, "Dad, what is this?" And just like that, the game she thought she had already won fell apart right in front of her, because she had just learned something she never imagined the house she wanted to sell was already in her brother's name, and that was only the beginning. I always believed my family would stay united, no matter what life threw at us. I used to sit on the front porch of this house, my house, with a cup of tea in my hands, watching my children run across the lawn. My daughter, Aisha, used to laugh louder than anyone. My son, Daniel, always chased after her, even though he was younger. Back then, everything felt simple. They loved each other, they loved me, and I thought it would always stay that way. But life has its own plans. It changes people, sometimes slowly, sometimes all at once. After their mother passed away, things shifted. I tried my best to keep the house warm, the family together, and the memories alive. My daughter grew up fast, became independent, and married early. Her husband, Saad, was polite in the beginning. Too polite, now that I think about it. Like someone hiding their real face behind a perfect mask. Daniel, on the other hand, stayed close to me. He never asked for anything. He took over small responsibilities, helped manage the property, checked repairs, handled tenants in the back portion. He wasn't loud, he wasn't demanding. Just steady, loyal, and always watching when others weren't. My lawyer, Imran, who has known me for over 25 years, often warned me, people change when money comes into the picture. He'd say, I used to laugh it off, not my children. I'd reply, today. I know better. My closest friend, Khalid, once pointed out that Aisha seemed different after marriage, more distant, more impatient, more concerned about financial matters. I didn't want to see it. I refused to see anything bad in my own child, because she was my daughter, the one who used to draw little hearts on my birthday cards, but signs were there. She visited less, called only when she wanted something, asked strange questions about the house, its value, its documents, how much rent was coming from the back property. She'd ask, Dad, why don't you move in with us? This big house is too much for you. But her tone never sounded caring, more like calculating. Still, I brushed it off. She's my daughter, I told myself. Maybe she's just concerned. Maybe I am overthinking. Then one day, she came with Saad. And instead of greeting me with warmth, she walked around the house silently, as if she was checking the property, not visiting her father. That was the day I felt something heavy settle in my chest, like a warning, like a storm preparing to break, and it did, much sooner than I expected, because that same evening, I overheard something I was never meant to hear. Before the betrayal, before the shouting, before the papers she threw in my face. I want you to understand one thing. I built this house with my own hands. I wasn't born rich. I started as a mechanic's assistant, wiping grease from my hands every night before heading home. Then I worked double shifts, saved every rupee, took small risks, and slowly started a repairs shop of my own. Years passed. The shop expanded. I hired workers. I bought tools, then machines, then the small building next door. Hard work became routine for me, like breathing. Every brick of this home came from sacrifice. Every wall held a story. Every room carried a memory of my wife and children. The front yard, I planted every flower with my wife. She loved roses. The kitchen, she and I painted it ourselves one summer, laughing as we spilled paint everywhere. The courtyard, my children learned to walk there. This house wasn't just property, it was life. It was love, it was history, and I thought my children understood that. Daniel always did. He treated the house like a living thing, fixing small cracks, checking water lines, cleaning gutters without me asking. He had a sense of belonging, a sense of respect. He saw this home the way I saw it, but Aisha, somewhere along the way, she stopped seeing it as a home and started seeing it as money. Maybe it was because Saad constantly whispered into her ear. Maybe it was because her in-laws compared wealth, property, and status. Maybe she felt she deserved more than what life gave her. I don't know. What I do know is that she started asking questions she never asked before. How much is the house worth now? If you ever decide to sell it, who will handle the paperwork? Do you have a will, Dad? You should think about it. At first, I laughed. I told her I had plenty of time to think about these things. But she insisted again and again and again until her questions stopped sounding like concern and started sounding like pressure. I tried to talk to him, Rand, my lawyer. He understood immediately. Prepare early, he warned me. Plan quietly. Protect yourself. So I did. I made arrangements I didn't tell anyone about, not even Aisha, especially not Aisha, because deep down I sensed something was coming. Something I didn't want to believe, and one night, my fears became real because I accidentally overheard Saad telling my daughter something that froze me in place. It happened late at night. I had stepped out of my room to get water when I heard voices coming from the drawing room. Aisha and Saad were sitting there, talking in low but sharp tones. Why hasn't he transferred anything yet? Saad said, He's old, Aisha. Anything can happen anytime. We shouldn't wait. My daughter sighed impatiently. I know, I've been trying. He keeps avoiding the topic. My hands shook. They weren't worried about my health. They were worried about what they'd get after my health failed. Saad continued, If Daniel gets even a portion, we'll lose everything. You need to convince him. Convince me. To hand over my own home, Aisha replied, annoyed. He listens to Daniel too much. I need to get Dad alone. Maybe I should tell him I'll take care of everything. Make it sound emotional. Emotional, my daughter was planning to trap me emotionally. My throat tightened. I felt like the walls around me were closing in. That wasn't my daughter. That wasn't the girl I raised. That wasn't the girl who used to sit in my lap and say she'd take care of me when I grew old. They were still talking when I slowly backed away, my heart breaking with every step. Things got worse after that. She started visiting more, but not for me. She would walk around the house taking pictures for memories, but I knew she was documenting every corner for property evaluation. Saad would check cupboards, look at files, pretend he was helping when he was really searching. Daniel noticed too. Dad, something's wrong. He whispered one day. I nodded, but I said nothing else. Aisha grew bolder in her disrespect. If I didn't agree with her suggestions, she'd snap. You don't understand anything anymore. Let me handle it. My heart broke a little every time. The final straw came one afternoon when she brought a folder and placed it in front of me. Dad, sign these, she said casually. I opened it. Property-related documents. When I looked at her, her eyes weren't soft. They weren't loving. They were calculating. I pushed the folder back. I'm not signing anything. Her face hardened. Saad stepped forward, and right in front of me, my daughter said the words that changed everything. Fine then. We'll take legal action. One way or another, we will get this house. But she had no idea. I had already made a decision long before she even tried, and soon she would face a truth that would shatter everything she thought she controlled. After that day, everything in the house changed. Aisha didn't speak to me like a daughter anymore. She spoke like someone doing a business deal. She came with a notebook, walked around with her phone, calculated things on a calculator, and whispered with Saad in corners. I wanted to believe maybe I misunderstood her. Maybe she was stressed. Maybe she was just overthinking about the future. She was my daughter. How could her heart become so hard? But every time she opened her mouth, her intentions became clearer. One morning, she came over with tea. Normally, that would warm my heart, but she placed the cup in front of me like she was offering poison. Dad, she began, I was thinking, this house is too big for you. You can barely manage the stairs. The garden needs maintenance. The roof leaks. Daniel can't do everything. I looked at her. What are you trying to say? She smiled, a practice smile, a fake one. I'm looking out for you. Why don't you let me take responsibility of the property? You focus on your health. I'll handle everything. Saad chimed in, yes, uncle. We'll make sure you're comfortable. Comfortable. By giving up control of my life, I stayed silent, but she didn't stop there. Her visits increased to almost daily. She asked questions no daughter should ask. Not with that tone, not with that hunger in her eyes. Dad, how much rent do you get from the back portion? Dad, how many rooms are registered on the property papers? Dad, what's the current market value? Dad, have you thought about who will manage things after you? It wasn't curiosity. It was calculation. Every question was sharpened like a blade. Daniel noticed too. One evening he whispered, Dad, she's planning something. Be careful. I touched his shoulder. I know, Beta. But what I didn't tell him was that fear had already started circling me like a shadow. Then one day, Aisha sat me down. Dad, I spoke to Saad's uncle. He knows some agents. They say you'll get a very good price for the house. Why don't we talk to them? I stared at her, shocked. You want me to sell the house? No, Dad. She laughed. We will sell the house. Her words hit me like a slap. We. I finally asked, Aisha, what exactly are you trying to do? She leaned forward, lowered her voice, and spoke the words that showed me exactly who she had become. Dad, this house is our future. Don't make it difficult. My throat tightened. A storm was coming. I could feel it. And the next step she took proved I wasn't imagining anything, because she didn't just want the house. She wanted everything. It started with emotional guilt. Soft words, fake concern, crocodile tears. Dad, I'm your daughter. She'd say, you trust me, right? I did, but not anymore. Still, she tried. She'd sit close to me, holding my hand, acting caring. Dad, you're getting older. These things are complicated. Let me take care of the documents. You don't need to stress. One afternoon, she even cooked my favorite dish and brought it over. It tasted like childhood. It tasted like love, but the moment I finished eating, she placed a file on my lap. Please sign this. She whispered. I opened it. Blank transfer forms, property, related. Her smile vanished when I pushed the file away. Aisha, you think I don't understand what this is? She stood up sharply. Dad, why are you making this so difficult? I'm trying to help you. I looked at her carefully. No, you're trying to help yourself. For a moment, her face changed. Cold, hard, like someone who had removed the last piece of their mask. Saad stepped forward. Uncle, you're being stubborn. Aisha is your daughter. She's your blood. Daniel is young. He doesn't know anything. Daniel, who had just entered the room, heard it. Oh, I understand plenty, he said, stepping beside me. Aisha rolled her eyes. Stay out of this. Not anymore, he replied. I stayed silent, watching my children argue. One fighting for me, the other fighting over what she thought she would inherit. But Aisha was smart. She changed her strategy. The very next day she arrived crying. Yes, crying, Dad. She sobbed. Saad and I are struggling. We're under debt. Things are hard. If you sign the house over to me, we can sell it, clear everything, and live peacefully. I'm your daughter. Help me. Her tears were convincing. Her shaking voice was convincing. Her pain looked convincing, but my instincts whispered, she's lying. When she left the room, her phone buzzed. A message preview popped up. I couldn't help but see it. Saad, make sure he signs soon. Don't come home without progress. My heart sank. Daniel saw my face pale and asked, Dad, what happened? I handed him the phone silently. He read it, his jaw tightened, his eyes darkened. Dad, they're trying to trap you. I nodded, I know. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking. What else were they planning? How far would they go? And the very next day, I got the answer because Aisha and Saad didn't come with requests. They came with a plan, and it was worse than anything I had imagined. It happened on a Sunday afternoon. Aisha and Saad arrived with smiles, too wide, too rehearsed. "Dad," she said cheerfully, "we brought snacks. We thought we'd spend some time with you." Daniel sensed something was wrong and stayed close. After tea, Aisha casually said, "Dad, I brought some papers from the electricity office. They need your signature for an update. Nothing serious, just routine work." Routine work. My life had taught me one thing. Nothing routine comes with fake smiles. But I nodded and took the papers, and when I opened them, my heart stopped. The papers had nothing to do with electricity. Instead, they were official forms to transfer ownership of the property, my property, into Aisha's name. I looked at her. She avoided my eyes. "Aisha, what is this?" I asked quietly. She swallowed. "Dad, listen. Just sign it. You don't need to read everything. I'll take care of the paperwork. Trust me. Trust you." I repeated. Saad stepped in. "Uncle, these are normal formalities. Why are you making it difficult? You're old. Let us handle things." Before I could respond, Daniel grabbed the papers. "Oh, wow," he said sarcastically. "Electricity office. Are you serious?" Aisha snapped. "Why do you always interfere?" Daniel looked at her with disappointment so deep, even she flinched. "You want the house so badly," he said softly, "but you can't even ask honestly." Aisha's eyes turned cold. "This house should come to me," she spat. "Not you. And why is that?" Daniel asked. "Because I deserve it more." Silence, not because of her words, but because of the way she said them, as if this home, this legacy, my life's work, meant nothing. I stood up slowly. "Aisha," I said, "you tried to trick me into signing everything away, and you expect me to believe this is love." She didn't answer. Instead, she said something that broke whatever was left inside me. "Dad, stop acting dramatic. Whether you sign now or later, the house will come to me anyway." Daniel stepped forward, furious. "Aisha, enough." But before he could finish, Saad pulled out another file. A thicker one, and when he opened it, I felt the ground slip from beneath my feet, because inside were more documents, legal ones prepared behind my back, prepared to take away the house, prepared to declare me unfit to manage my own property. My daughter looked at me with finality and said, "This time, Dad, you don't get a choice." But she had no idea. Her entire plan was built on a foundation that didn't exist, because she didn't know the secret I had kept hidden for years. After that day, the air inside my home felt heavy, like every breath carried the weight of betrayal. Aisha and Saad had crossed a line a child should never cross. They weren't just greedy. They were ready to declare me unfit to handle my own house. My own life, my own decisions. I sat on the sofa quietly, staring at the documents they had tried to force on me. My hands trembled, not from fear, but from heartbreak. How could the same hands that once hugged me with love now push me toward legal manipulation? Daniel came and sat beside me. "Dad, why didn't you tell me earlier?" I sighed deeply. "Because she is your sister. I didn't want to see you two fight." He looked at me, pain in his eyes. "We're already fighting, Dad. She's not the same anymore." His voice cracked on the last word. For the first time, I saw the exhaustion in him, the frustration, the helplessness of watching his own sister treat our father like a burden standing between her and a pile of money. He clenched the documents in his hand. "They don't care how much pain they're causing you." I placed my hand on his. "I know, Beta." But Daniel wasn't calm anymore. He stood up abruptly. "I'm talking to her, right now." Before I could stop him, he walked straight toward the gate. I followed him slowly, my heart beating fast. I knew anger and grief were mixing inside him, and that combination was dangerous. Aisha and Saad were getting into their car when Daniel called out, "Stop." They turned around. Aisha raised her eyebrow. "What now?" Daniel walked right up to them. "You tried to cheat Dad. You lied. You manipulated. You hid documents. You think we don't understand what you're doing." Saad smirked. "Calm down. Your dad is old. Someone has to manage his affairs." Daniel snapped. "Not someone, you, because all you care about is this house." Aisha crossed her arms. "It's my right. I'm the eldest. And I'm the one who stayed." Daniel shot back. "I'm the one who helped Dad. I'm the one who respected him. You only come when you smell money. Aisha glared. At least I have a life. You've achieved nothing. The insult hit him, but he didn't flinch. He pointed at her coldly. You've already lost your place in this family. Aisha scoffed. Oh, please, don't act dramatic. Once the house is legally mine, it's not going to be yours, Daniel interrupted sharply. Not now, not ever. Aisha narrowed her eyes. And who will stop me? You? Daniel stepped forward, calm but fierce. No, Dad already has. Aisha blinked, confused. What do you mean? Daniel looked at me, waiting for me to speak. But I didn't, not yet, because it wasn't time, and Aisha wasn't ready for the truth that was about to flip her world upside down. That night, after Aisha and Saad left in anger, I sat quietly on my bed. I looked around the room, the same room where my wife and I once whispered dreams to each other, where we planned our future, where we planned our children's futures, and now one of those children was trying to erase me completely. I picked up my phone with shaking hands and called someone I hadn't spoken to in months. Imran, I said softly. My lawyer responded instantly. I've been expecting your call. His voice was calm, steady, and familiar, like the voice of someone who had seen my entire life unfold. Is everything safe? I asked. Yes, he replied. Your decision still stands. The property remains exactly where you placed it. I closed my eyes with relief. Good. At least one thing was still right in my world. Should we tell them now? Imran asked. No. I whispered. Not yet. Let them show their true faces fully. There was silence on the call for a moment. Then he said, You're a stronger man than most. You know that. Maybe. Or maybe I was just a father who refused to believe his daughter could become this. After hanging up, I made myself a cup of tea and sat outside in the courtyard. The breeze was cool. The night was quiet. But I wasn't alone. Daniel walked out and sat beside me. Dad, what did you do? I smiled weakly, something I should have done long ago. He didn't push me. He waited patiently. So after minutes of silence, I finally told him. Beta, I began years ago. When your mother passed away, I told myself I would never let our home fall into the wrong hands. I didn't tell anyone, but I went to Imran and made changes. What changes? He asked softly. I looked at him with tired eyes. The house, the property, all of it, was transferred years ago. He froze, transferred. He whispered, to who? I placed my hand on his shoulder, to you. Daniel's eyes widened. His lips parted. He stared at me like he couldn't breathe. Dad, what, why me? Because you loved this home, because you respected it, because you stood by me, because your mother would have wanted it this way. His eyes filled with tears immediately. Dad, I don't deserve. You deserve more than you know. I whispered. He covered his face with his hands, then he hugged me. A long, trembling hug, but neither of us realized something. A shadow moved near the gate. Someone was listening. The next morning, I woke up early with a strange feeling in my chest, like something heavy was sitting inside me, refusing to leave. The memory of last night, the revelation, Daniel's tears, the unknown shadow outside, kept circling in my mind. I went to the front gate and looked around. Nothing, but I knew someone had been there. Someone had heard everything, and there was only one person who would have a reason to spy on us, Aisha. But I pushed the thought aside. I didn't want to accuse her without proof. Not yet. After breakfast, Daniel went to run errands. I stayed home, still uneasy. Suddenly, around noon, the doorbell rang. It wasn't Aisha. It wasn't Saad. It was Imran, my lawyer. He walked in with a serious expression and held out a sealed brown envelope. It's time, he said simply. I hesitated. Time for what? For the truth to come out. My heartbeat quickened. But Imran raised a hand. This envelope contains the official documents, the ones proving the house is legally under Daniel's ownership. I swallowed. Are you sure we should reveal it now? He nodded. If you don't act soon, they will. And trust me, they are planning something big. A chill ran down my spine. What do you mean? Imran sighed. Your daughter came to my office yesterday. My breath caught. What did she want? She asked for copies of your property documents. She said she needed them urgently. I felt my blood turn cold. She's trying again. I whispered, she won't stop until she gets this house. Imran placed the envelope in my hands gently. You need to confront her, not tomorrow, not next week, today. I held the envelope tightly. It felt heavy, like it carried not just paper, but years of pain, betrayal, and truth. Before leaving, Imran turned to me and said quietly, "Be careful. They won't take this news easily." As soon as he left, I sat down on the sofa, staring at the envelope. Aisha wanted to take everything from me, but she didn't know. Everything she wanted was already beyond her reach. The house wasn't in my name. It hadn't been for years, and when she found out, her entire world would crumble. I looked toward the doorway because at that exact moment, Aisha walked in, her eyes cold, her jaw tight, her voice sharp. "Dad, we need to talk." And she had no idea. I still remember the way my daughter stormed into the living room that day. Her heels slammed against the floor like she was marching into a battlefield. She didn't even wait for me to sit properly. She dropped a thick brown envelope on the table and crossed her arms. "Sign these." She said sharply, "Today, right now." I blinked, confused. "What is this?" "My future." She replied without even a pause. "The house papers, transfer it to my name. You're getting old, Dad. You need to make decisions before it's too late." Her words sliced through me. Getting old, decisions too late. When did she even start thinking like this? My son, who was fixing a light bulb in the hallway, froze when he heard her. He walked slowly toward us, almost afraid of what was about to happen. He didn't say a word. He knew any small comment would ignite a fight. My daughter flicked her hair back, opened the envelope, and pulled the papers out like she was presenting a business proposal instead of talking to her own father. "You told me you trusted me," she continued. "So trust me with this. I'll take care of everything once the property is officially mine. It's not like Bai understands these things anyway." My son's jaw clenched, but he stayed quiet. I stared at her. "Why are you in such a rush? We can discuss no." She slapped a pen in front of me. "No discussions, just sign today." Her husband, always silent but always smirking, appeared behind her and placed a hand on her shoulder. "It's better for everyone, Uncle. The house is too big for you. Let her handle it now." "Handle?" I repeated. "Handle what? This is my home." She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. Then she leaned closer, her voice turning cold. "If you don't sign it now, Dad, then don't blame me for what happens next." My heart dropped. "What does that mean?" "It means," she said, tapping the paper, "that this house will be sold. I'm not going to waste my life stuck in old property issues. Once it's in my name, I'll deal with it how I want." My son took a step forward. "So you brought Dad's childhood home papers to force him to sign them? Are you serious?" She turned toward him with a mocking smile. "Oh, please, you wouldn't understand. You're not the one who will manage the family assets." Family assets? That was her real priority. She shoved the pen even closer to me, as if my hesitation offended her. "Sign it, Dad," she repeated. "Sign it or you'll regret it." I looked at the pen, then at her eyes, then at my son's worried face, and right there something inside me snapped awake, because she had no idea, not even a clue, that the house she was demanding. I leaned back slowly, letting the silence stretch just long enough for her confidence to start shaking. She tapped her foot impatiently. "Dad, what are you waiting for?" I looked her straight in the eyes. "I can't sign those papers." She scoffed. "Why? Your hand hurting? Want me to bring water? Stop making excuses." I shook my head. "No, I can't sign them because the house isn't in my name." Everything, her attitude, her arrogance, her confidence froze. "What?" she whispered. Her husband stepped forward. "What nonsense are you talking about, Uncle? This is your house." "It was," I said calmly, "but not anymore." She grabbed the envelope and flipped through the documents as if she expected to find the truth hidden somewhere inside. "What do you mean it's not in your name?" she demanded. "It's always been yours." I took a deep breath. "I transferred it 6 years ago, quietly, legally, completely." "To who?" she shouted. My son didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe. I placed my hand on his shoulder. "To him," I said firmly. The room exploded. "What?" My daughter screamed so loudly the windows could have cracked. "You transferred the house to him. To him? Are you insane?" Her husband stepped forward, face turning red. "This is manipulation. You're lying. Show us proof." I pointed to the cabinet. "Second drawer. Open it." My son walked over, pulled out the old folder, the original registered deed, and handed it to her silently. She snatched it, flipped it open, and when she saw her brother's name written in bold letters, her face went pale. No, she whispered, no, 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 this can't be real. You cheated me. I didn't cheat you. I said calmly, you cheated yourself. Years of disrespect, arguments, manipulation. You gave me no reason to trust you with this home, but I thought. Her voice cracked. You promised me I'd get everything. I nodded. Yes, you thought, you assumed, you demanded, you believed inheritance was your right, but respect is earned. She threw the file on the floor. I will not accept this. I won't. She lunged toward her brother. You knew, didn't you? You knew and never told me. He stepped back. Dad asked me not to, and I respected his decision. You wouldn't have? She screamed, grabbed the sofa cushion, threw it across the room, then slammed her hand on the coffee table. You ruined my life, she cried. This house was supposed to be my security. My voice hardened. You wanted to sell it. Don't pretend you cared about this home. Her sobs turned into anger again. She pointed at the papers she brought. I came to help you. I came to take responsibility. No, I said firmly. You came to take control. She fell silent, shaking, breathing heavily. Her husband grabbed her arm. We're not done. This isn't over. We'll get a lawyer. I interrupted him. Good. I said calmly, because mine is already on the way. Their rage slowly shifted to fear. Just then, the doorbell rang. 3 loud, firm knocks. My daughter's eyes widened. No, he didn't. My son walked to the door and opened it. My lawyer, a serious, sharp-faced man who had seen too many family betrayals, stepped inside holding a briefcase. Good evening, he said. I believe we have some matters to settle. My daughter instantly wiped her tears, switching from furious to innocent in 2 seconds. Uncle, please, don't listen to Dad, he's confused. I was just trying to help. The lawyer raised a hand. Save it. I'm not here for emotional drama. I'm here for facts. He placed a stack of documents on the table. First, he said, yes, the house is officially, legally, and permanently under your son's name. No one can challenge it. Not you, not your husband, not anyone. Her husband stepped forward. But second, the lawyer continued, ignoring him, I also reviewed the papers you brought today. He lifted them between his fingers like they were trash. These documents were not prepared for your father's benefit. They were designed to remove his decision, making rights entirely. My daughter froze. W. What are you saying? I'm saying. He replied coldly that if your father had signed these, you would have gained full power to sell every asset he owns without his consent. Her face turned white. Her husband tried to jump in. She had no idea. The agent gave us wrong papers. No. The lawyer said sharply. The agent already confessed on call. My daughter stepped back. Confessed what? That you were the one who instructed him. The lawyer said, you told him, make the papers in a way that Dad loses all rights, and don't tell him the details. She collapsed into the chair. No, he's lying. He's lying. The lawyer placed the final document on the table. And third, I have screenshots of your messages to him. Silence, ice, cold silence. Her head dropped. She covered her face. Her schemes exposed, her lies uncovered, her intentions undeniable. My lawyer closed his briefcase. Legally, you have no claim here. And after this attempt, I advise you not to create further drama. It will backfire. My daughter suddenly stood up while died. Dad, please listen to me. I can explain. I raised my hand. No more explanations. No more lies. She burst into tears. Real tears now, not the manipulative ones. Her husband grabbed her arm again. Let's go. We've already done enough. He pulled her toward the door. She looked back at me one last time. Dad, please don't do this. Please. I didn't speak. I didn't move. I just watched, because this time I wasn't the one losing anything. She was. The door slammed shut behind them, and all that remained was the truth finally exposed, finally undeniable. But this wasn't the end. The end was still waiting in the next section. The moment the door slammed shut behind Aisha and Saad, a heavy silence fell over the house. It was the kind of silence that feels both empty and full empty because the chaos had suddenly stopped, but full because the weight of everything hung thick in the air. I sank into the old armchair, my hands resting on my knees, trying to calm the whirlwind of emotions inside me. For years, I had carried the burden of hoping my children would honor me and each other. I had believed that love would outlast greed, that family ties were stronger than inheritance disputes. But the truth had been laid bare. The daughter who once cradled me in her arms was now the same person who tried to steal my home. The son who quietly stood by my side was the one I had trusted all along. I looked around the room. The walls that held decades of memories, the worn carpet where my children had played as toddlers, the photographs on the mantelpiece that captured smiles now faded. This was my sanctuary, and it had nearly been torn apart. Yet amidst the sadness, a strange peace settled over me. The storm had passed, and in its wake, clarity emerged. I knew that I was no longer alone in this fight. Daniel was here, and with him came hope. He came over and sat beside me without saying a word. I could feel the quiet strength in his presence, a silent promise that no matter what came next, we would face it together. "Dad," he said finally, breaking the silence, "you don't have to carry this alone anymore." I nodded slowly. "I never did, son. I just needed to believe." He smiled softly. "You're stronger than you think." As the day faded into evening, I realized how much I had held inside. Fears, doubts, and the ache of betrayal. But now I was ready to let go of those chains. This house, this life, would no longer be a battlefield. It was time to rebuild, not just the property, but the peace inside me. The days after the confrontation were quieter than I expected, but the silence was not empty. It was filled with a new kind of energy, the energy of healing and rebuilding. I realized that protecting the house wasn't just about legal papers or property lines. It was about protecting my peace and my dignity. That meant setting firm boundaries, not just with Aisha, but with everyone who wanted to bring chaos into my life. Daniel stayed close, helping me manage the daily tasks. Together, we met with Imran again to review every detail, making sure everything was secure. It felt good to have that reassurance, but even better was knowing I had someone I could trust by my side. One afternoon, as I sat sipping tea in the garden, I found myself reflecting on how much had changed. The house that once felt like a source of tension now felt like a refuge again. I started small, fixing broken things, planting new flowers, opening the windows wide to let fresh air in. But the real work was emotional. I had to forgive not for them, but for myself. To forgive the daughter I once loved unconditionally, but who chose greed over family. To forgive the pain, the lies, and the betrayal that almost broke me. It wasn't easy. Some days, memories still stung like fresh wounds. But I reminded myself that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or accepting harm. It means releasing the power that pain holds over you. I also learned to say no, or protect my boundaries firmly but kindly. When Aisha called or sent messages, I didn't answer immediately. When she demanded to see me, I politely declined until I was ready. It was a new chapter, one where I honored my needs without guilt, and Daniel, he was the living proof that respect and loyalty mattered. Watching him care for the house, honoring my wishes, and standing up for what was right reminded me that family could still be a source of strength. One evening, as the sun set behind the trees, I sat with Daniel and said, "Thank you, Beta, for being here." He smiled and replied, "Always, Dad. You taught me what family really means." As the days turned into weeks, I found myself looking at life through a clearer lens. The battles over the house, the lies, the pain, they all left scars, but they also taught me something invaluable. I realized that property and money are just things. They don't define love or respect. What truly matters is how we treat each other, how we honor the bonds that hold a family together. I thought about Aisha, the daughter I raised with so much hope and love. Her choices broke my heart, but they also showed me a truth I needed to face. Respect is earned, not demanded. And sometimes, those we expect the most from become the hardest to trust. But I chose peace over bitterness. I chose to protect my dignity rather than drag my family through endless conflict. That choice didn't mean forgetting the past, it meant embracing the future. My son Daniel became the symbol of that future. His kindness, patience, and loyalty reminded me that family isn't just about blood, it's about character. Sometimes life's greatest lessons come wrapped in the hardest trials. Mine was simple but powerful. Respect matters more than money, and now they know it too. I've learned that no inheritance, no property, no material thing can replace the peace that comes from being valued and honored. As I sit here now, in this home that holds so many memories, I feel a quiet strength inside me. Not because of what I own, but because of what I've chosen to keep. My self-respect, my peace, and my hope. And that, more than anything, is the true inheritance I will leave behind.